Michael Palin, thanks very much for talking to us. What does the Commonwealth mean to you?
An extraordinarily valuable forum for whatever it is, 54, 53?
54 now,
54 countries representing 2 billion people to come together, not on the basis of a sort of military pact or a commercial pact, but just because they have a shared history. They're not similar cultures and all that, but they have a shared history, some shared traditions. And for those countries to be able to come together and talk to each other, countries from all over the world, I think that's a enormously important thing, and I can't think of any other sort of organisation quite like it, really. Well, I do in certain places feel that there is something that we have in common, especially in my time in India, and I've recently been to Calcutta, and what I think is extraordinary, we've got Calcutta, which is a city sort of run by a communist sort of administration, and yet a lot of the sort of cultural side of the city is sort of British influence in a sense, the old clubs and all that sort of thing. And the two exist side by side, because no longer is one trying to sort of rule the other or push the other one out of existence. They actually come together and tolerate each other. And I think that's very good. I mean, I think if you deny some connection totally, then you're losing something that has come from that connection. I don't happen to believe that everyone involved in the days of empire were sort of morally corrupt. Some of them, I think, were sort of morally quite decent. But there you go. So I think that what's left behind has been quite useful. Yeah. Well, geography is a science, so obviously I'm very interested in the attempt to use geography to understand a little more about our planet and how it works and all the various things that geography deals with, whether it's climate change or pandemics or population control or whatever. So it's an important part. There's an important part for science to play, and with technology too. But I think technology is it's a sort of two-edged sword. I do think it's important that we use technology and encourage people to learn and understand technology, but I don't think if one wants to realise there are many different kinds of technology. There can be quite sort of low-level sustainable technologies which are as important and as necessary as the sort of machine industrial-led technologies, which are often very expensive and can't just be foisted on any country. So I think we've got to look at the whole, what technology really means, and that's the great thing about the spread of Commonwealth countries, that they're all different levels of sort of industrial production, agricultural production, whatever, and what's high-tech and useful for one will not be so good for another, where low-tech would be much more interesting. So, technology, but I don't think technology becomes another vehicle of sort of oppression.
No.
I think as a traveller, what is important is to get to know more about each other's countries, and so I would urge people within the Commonwealth to visit other Commonwealth countries and indeed the rest of the world. So responsible travel is a very big issue, and tourism and all that involves. I would love to see that made a sort of priority, because I think as one who travels themselves and gives an example for others to travel, I'm very much aware of the complications in sort of the tourist industry. And it's got to be something that doesn't again oppress the countries it goes to, but it, sort of on the other hand does improve their way of life, gives people work to do, and helps inform others about that country. So responsible tourism, I think, would be very high on my list. Well, I have no favourite country.
Right.
That's a very dangerous to choose a favourite country, because the next person you meet will be from one of the countries that weren't your favourite.
Yeah.
No, I love them all. There are a couple of countries that I visited over the last sort of 15 years, and I've been very impressed with, because I knew very little about them. One was Uganda, and partly because I found the people there very helpful and pleasant, but that's a cliche. Nearly everyone in the world, provided they're not holding a gun, are helpful and pleasant. But the beauty of Uganda, and certainly down in the southwest corner and the mountains there, I found it really a lovely country to visit. And the other was Bangladesh, about which I had sort of rather bad preconceptions before I went there, of a victim of droughts and sort of huge cities and sort of a general overpopulation. And yet, going down by boat down the delta, the Ganges and Brahmaputra delta there, I found some of the most beautiful, serene, comfortable, well-used land with small villages, very harmonious, and I found that was an absolutely lovely place to be.